Jared Jack throws it. Hardaway puts it up. Oh, he puts it up.
32 players heard their names called before his. Not one of them is holding a Finals MVP trophy tonight.
With the left-handed stuff. You see.
6'2", second round, 33rd pick. Scouts wrote him up as a limited athlete who could guard exactly one position and nothing else. And the team that drafted him valued him at $55 million.
Yes. Grimes to quickly the runner, count it, and one.
8 years later, he's standing at center court in San Antonio with the Larry O'Brien Trophy over his head, and a city that hadn't celebrated since 1973 is losing its mind. 8 moments got him there.
And then the bounce pass for Toppin.
Sexton thought he was.
You think you know this story. You know how it ends. Stay with me anyway, because what everybody gets wrong is why it happened. And number 8 is the one nobody remembers.
Only Jokic is more dangerous than him.
Rebecca mentioned the rap.
Number 8, the night nobody called his name, 2018. Here's what the highlight reel leaves out. In June of 2018, the best player in college basketball sat through the entire first round of the NBA draft and did not hear his name. Not some project, not a raw kid with tools.
Jackson.
Jalen Brunson had just won his second national title at Villanova in 3 years. He'd swept the awards, the Wooden, the Naismith, the Cousy. He averaged 18.9 points and 4.6 assists, shooting 52% from the floor and 40.8% from three. He was, by consensus, the finest player in the American college game. 30 picks came and went, then 31, then 32. And here's the part that stings if you were watching that night. The scouting reports weren't wrong. They said he was officially listed at 6'3", but was visibly smaller.
Jefferson.
Here comes Lee. Lee looking, alley-oop.
They said he was a limited athlete who wasn't explosive getting into the paint. They said his physical limitations would hurt him defensively against real NBA athletes, that he was a one-position defender, that in 116 college games, he'd recorded exactly one blocked shot.
Appreciate it. I felt the love.
Every word of that was accurate. It just didn't measure the thing that mattered. Dallas took him at 33. And listen closely, because this whole story turns on a technicality nobody noticed at the time. The 4th season of Brunson's rookie contract wasn't a team option. It was non-guaranteed. Different words. Completely different world.
Ntilikina throws it ahead. Dotson.
That single line of contract language would eventually cost the Dallas Mavericks a franchise player for nothing. But before Dallas lost him, they had 4 years to figure out what they had. They had one phone call to get it right. They gave it 30 seconds.
Jackson.
Number 7, the 30-second phone call. Dallas, 2021-22.
We should also see the Heat winning that series over Jeff Van Gundy's Knicks, but Mike, we don't need to talk about.
This is the part nobody in Dallas wants to talk about. Brunson became eligible for an extension in the summer of 2021. The Mavericks made a choice. They held off. Their reasoning was that if a star became available at the trade deadline, an extension would have made Brunson ineligible to be traded. So they waited. They kept their options open.
Primary scorers, you need that.
Bojanovic to Porzingis.
Understand what that means in practice. The player who just spent 3 seasons as a reliable reserve, 10.1 points, 3.3 assists, was being kept warm as trade filler. By the deadline, they circled back. The offer was 4 years, $55.5 million, the exact same contract Dorian Finney-Smith had just signed.
In 42 minutes in Game 6, despite the type of defense he plays.
His father, Rick, a man who'd played 8 years in this league and knew precisely what that number said, described the call in one sentence. He said it was a 30-second conversation. The message that came back to him was, essentially, you guys wouldn't be interested in that now, would you? Rick Brunson said he just laughed.
You're going to play your best players all game long.
And here's where the NBA does what the NBA always does. Because that same spring, Luka Doncic went down injured, and Brunson had to carry a playoff series by himself. He put up 21.6 points a game and dragged Dallas to the Western Conference Finals for the first time in 11 years.
Clock at 7. Leonard drives down and the flush with
The Mavericks had spent a season telling him what he was worth. Then he spent one postseason proving them wrong on national television and pricing himself completely out of their reach. The NBA doesn't wait for you to be ready, and it doesn't wait for your front office to figure out what it has.
Defense to force the turnover, 8 straight points, and the Clippers.
So on July 1st, 2022, Jalen Brunson became a free agent, and of all the places he could have gone, every contender with cap space and a roster ready to win, he chose the one franchise in this league that had become a national punchline.
Nick Batum.
Number 6, walking into the wreckage, July 2022.
Hartenstein running the court, shot blocked, but picked up by Randall. Randall fakes, gathers.
If you're a Knicks fan, you already know how bad it was, but you might not know how bad the numbers were. From the 2001 season through 2021-22, 22 seasons, the New York Knicks went 770 and 1,035, a .427 winning percentage. 6 playoff appearances in 22 years, and across that entire span, they'd played 35 total playoff games.
And throws it down. The strength of Julius Randle.
The team Brunson signed with had just finished 37 and 45, 11th in the East, eliminated from contention on March 31st. That's the franchise. Madison Square Garden, the most famous building in basketball, hosting a team nobody outside the 5 boroughs had a reason to watch.
You can get good looks in transition against this group.
Rose finds
New York gave him 4 years and $104 million, and the reaction across the league was close to unanimous. The Knicks had done the Knicks thing again. They'd massively overpaid a career backup. Brunson hadn't even held a full-time starting job until December of his 4th season. $104 million for that.
off the bounce.
Floor fast. The Rockets are not a good transition defense team.
But here's what almost every analyst missed, and it's the thing that actually explains this entire story. It wasn't only the money. Rick Brunson, Jalen's father, had played for the New York Knicks from 1998 to 2000. He barely played, 6.7 minutes a night across 2 seasons. But he was there, and in 2022, the Knicks hired him as an assistant coach.
Hartenstein running the court, shot blocked, but picked up by Randall. Randall fakes, gathers.
Dallas thought they were competing against a bigger contract. They were competing against a family. Those are not the same fight, and only one of them can be won with money. The Knicks had their guard. What they didn't have was any evidence he could carry a franchise. That took about 7 months.
He shot over 40% from three-point range in college, and the NBA still trying to figure.
Number 5, the door that hadn't opened in a decade, 2022 to 23.
Oh, section's open. Look at Hart, though. Hart coming up with the steal.
Here's the stat that reframes everything you think you know about how fast this happened. In his first season in New York, Brunson averaged 24 points a night. The Knicks went 47 and 35, and in April of 2023, they beat Cleveland in the first round. That sounds ordinary. It wasn't. It was the first playoff series the New York Knicks had won in 10 years.
Jazz bench Clyde with 20 points. They've outscored their star.
Think about what that means for the people in that building. An entire decade of Garden crowds who'd never once watched their team advance. Kids who'd grown up as Knicks fans with literally no memory of a second round. They lost to Miami in 6 in the semis. Season over.
Off the bench, made one free throw, missed one. This time able to swoop and hoop.
And this is where the story should have plateaued. A nice free agent signing, a respectable team, a franchise finally back to mediocre. That's what usually happens. But something else was going on inside that locker room, and you could see it in what the front office started doing.
Baseline with the 3-ball switch from his former teammate in college.
They went and got Josh Hart in 2023. They went and got OG Anunoby the next year. Every acquisition was designed around one idea: put defenders next to Brunson, so opponents couldn't hunt him, so he'd still have legs in the fourth quarter to do what he does. Hart had won a national title at Villanova, so had Mikal Bridges, who'd arrived later. Leon Rose wasn't assembling a roster, he was rebuilding a college locker room inside Madison Square Garden.
Rebounded by Hartenstein. Knicks Pride Night presented by Delta Airlines.
Here's where this list turns, so stay with me. Everything you've heard so far, the draft slide, the phone call, the contract nobody wanted to honor, all of that was done to him. From here, it's about what he chose. And the next one ends with him walking off the floor in Indiana with a broken hand and a look on his face Knicks fans are still trying to forget.
Brunson from Hart. Brunson with a
Number 4, 61 points and a fractured hand, 2023-24.
Duncan, the foolish foul.
March 29th, 2024, San Antonio. Remember that date? It comes back around in a way nobody could have scripted. Brunson dropped 61 points on 53.1% shooting, 38 of them in the second half, the most points any Knick had scored in a half since 1998. His 61 was the second highest single-game total in the history of this franchise, behind only Carmelo Anthony's 62.
Q looking for the old-fashioned three-point play now. Dancing and
That season, he averaged 28.7 points a game, fourth best in the NBA. He played 77 games. He made 211 threes at 40.1%. He became the fourth Knick ever to post multiple 50-point games in one season, joining Bernard King, Richie Guerin, and Allen Houston. He finished top 5 in MVP voting and made All-NBA.
Knicks.
remember last season, IQ ran amok at the end of the season. Now with the team.
New York finished as the 2 seed, and they were shorthanded most of the year, a roster held together by tape and Brunson's refusal to sit down. They got past Philadelphia, then Indiana, all the way to a Game 7 at home.
There.
And the legacy of Nat Sweetwater Clifton, and to be honored, congratulations.
Now here's the part that doesn't make the highlights. Somewhere in that game, Brunson swiped down at a Tyrese Halliburton layup, and his left hand caught Halliburton's knee. He grabbed at it immediately. He checked back in with 3 minutes left in the third quarter, played 14 more seconds, and walked to the locker room. Fractured hand, done for the night.
Years ago.
Well, quickly strokes the three for the Knicks. They're Knicks shooting 34.
He'd scored 40 or more points 5 separate times that postseason. He finished Game 7 with 17 points on 6 of 17 shooting. The Knicks lost 130-109. Their season ended with their best player in the tunnel. And that summer, he made a decision that has almost no precedent in the modern NBA. One that had nothing to do with basketball and everything to do with why New York has a trophy today.
Look at the zone by the Heat. Look how they swarm to the ball.
Number 3, signature that cost him $113 million, July 2024. This is the most important thing that happened in this entire story, and it happened entirely on paper. By the summer of 2024, Brunson had a player option for 2025-26. If he declined it and waited 1 year, he'd have been eligible to re-sign with New York for roughly $269 million over 5 seasons. That money was sitting there. All he had to do was be patient.
Could not connect.
Yeah, good denial by the Knicks.
Instead, on July 12th, he signed a 4-year extension worth $156.5 million. He left more than $113 million on the table. Voluntarily. You need to sit with that number. Because in this league, contract disputes end careers and fracture locker rooms. Players hold out over 8 figures. He walked away from 9.
Anunoby from 3 with the shot clock winding down.
And here's what it bought. That money is exactly what let the Knicks pay OG Anunoby. It's what let them absorb Mikal Bridges, who cost 5 first-round picks. It's what let them take on Karl Anthony Towns' contract when they traded Julius Randle on the eve of training camp in 2024. Every piece of the championship roster exists because of what one man declined to be paid.
Randle takes it inside. Mavericks keep it alive.
The ball did not hit the rim, though, Kenny.
Now flip it around, because this is the reframe. Dallas offered him $55 million and he laughed. New York offered him $269 million and he said no thank you. That's not a man chasing money. That's a man who'd already been told exactly what the market thought he was worth once and decided he'd rather be measured by something else. Rings don't lie, neither does the pain of not having one. The roster was finally assembled, which is what made what happened the following spring so completely insane.
Game 8 in the overtime to seal the deal.
Valuable acquired from Philly.
Number 2, they fired the coach anyway, 2024-25.
Oh, what a steal by Bridges.
In a congested.
If you were watching in May of 2025, you watched the Knicks do something genuinely beautiful, and then watched the organization respond to it like a failure. That season, Brunson averaged 26 points and a career-high 7.3 assists across 65 games.
Was like afraid to speak. Bridges throws it up.
He won the Jerry West Trophy as Clutch Player of the Year, 70 of 100 first-place votes, well clear of Nikola Jokic. He led the entire NBA at 5.6 points per game in the final 5 minutes of close games, led the league with 52 clutch field goals made, and New York went 17-11 in those games.
Something about the Blazers for Bridges. 4 on the 24. James fires up.
They finished 51-31. They beat Detroit. And then, in the second round, they knocked out the defending champion Boston Celtics in 6, which put the New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since the year 2000.
Run-ins with Joel Embiid have not gone his way. Oh, how about that pass?
And this is the detail that tells you everything about how long that drought was. The last Knicks team to reach a conference finals had Rick Brunson on the roster. A whole new generation of Brunson had to reach the NBA before this franchise could get out of the second round. Jalen's reaction after the game? He joked that his dad wasn't going to like hearing that.
Smith on Brunson now. Before they had Williams on it.
They lost to Indiana in 6. He averaged 30.7 points in the series. Game 1, they led by 17 in the fourth quarter, and Halliburton hit a miracle to force overtime. 3 days after Game 6, the Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau.
Oh, what a steal by Bridges.
In a congested.
A coach who'd gone 226-174. 4 playoff berths in 5 seasons. 4 playoff series wins. More than the franchise's 13 other coaches this century combined. Fired. Then it got worse. New York asked to interview a handful of employed coaches and got told no at every single door. Every one.
Hart gets it off at the buzzer, and he banks it in!
They eventually hired Mike Brown, a 2-time Coach of the Year who'd been fired by Sacramento in December after a 13-18 start. From the outside, that looked like panic. It looked like a franchise that had finally gotten somewhere and immediately blown it up out of impatience. It was the best decision they ever made. And number 1 is the reason why.
Previous game, 7 assists. OG, the passing lane.
Anunoby,
Number 1, 53 years, 2025-26.
Rotation from the weak side, and then this time.
Here's the truth about the 2026 New York Knicks that even people who watched every game still can't fully process. They were never in control. Not once. Not in a single meaningful game. They finished 53-29, third in the East. Not a juggernaut. In December, they won the NBA Cup, beating San Antonio 124-113, and Brunson took the tournament MVP. Then the playoffs started, and Atlanta went up 2-1 on them in the first round. What happened next was 11 straight wins, the longest playoff winning streak in the history of this franchise, longer than the 1972-73 championship teams. Only the 5th team in NBA history to win 11 consecutive playoff games.
Ada comes up at Brunson. Towns able to roll behind.
They swept Cleveland to reach the finals. Brunson averaged 25.5 points and 7.8 assists on 48.7% shooting, and in Game 1 he put up 38 to erase a 22-point fourth-quarter deficit in overtime. He took all 9 Eastern Conference Finals MVP votes.
That can pop back and shoot it the way Towns can.
99-98 Knicks.
First finals for the New York Knicks since 1999. Waiting for them, Victor Wembanyama and a 62-20 San Antonio Spurs team, with Wembanyama the unanimous Defensive Player of the Year. New York didn't have home court.
Brunson makes his move. No look, Hart.
Now here's the number that defines this entire series. The Knicks trailed by double digits in all 5 games. San Antonio won every single first quarter by a combined 57 points. And New York won 4 of the 5 anyway. Game 4, they were down 29, 81-52, and won it 107-106.
Under 4 minutes to play. Cut by Tatum.
Brunson had 36. Then Game 5, on the road, down 31-15 in the second quarter after a disastrous start. Still down 10 with 8:21 left in the fourth, and Jalen Brunson scored 10 straight points by himself to tie the game.
Towns just picks and pops and knocks down the 3.
So it's
With 6:40 left, Wembanyama switched onto him, 7'4", the best defender alive, and Brunson danced into the paint and floated a layup just past his fingertips. He baited Devin Vassell into a foul and hit 3 free throws to give New York its first lead since the first quarter, then a 12-foot floater to take it for good.
but it's called a tie-up.
45 points, 15 of them in the final 7:43. Knicks 94, Spurs 90. He averaged 32.6 points for the series and took all 11 Finals MVP votes. Now hold on to these, because this is where the story stops being about basketball. Those 45 points match Michael Jordan for the most ever scored in a road game to clinch a championship.
A jump ball. The officials did have a discussion.
Brunson became just the 4th player ever to win Finals MVP after being drafted in the second round, joining Willis Reed, Dennis Johnson, and Nikola Jokic. Reed, of course, being the man who won the last 2 titles this building ever saw.
The timeout.
Brunson, Mikal Bridges, and Josh Hart became the first trio of teammates in history to win an NCAA championship together and then an NBA championship together. And when it was finished, both teams had scored exactly 522 points across the series.
It's off the bench in 25 minutes of action. Brunson.
522 apiece. Every game was within 5 points in the final 5 minutes. The only finals in the play-by-play era that can say that. 53 years. 2 generations of New Yorkers born, raised, and gone gray waiting for it. Ended by the guy who was too short, too slow, and worth $55 million.
Well, you play that drop coverage.